Settle yourself into a comfortable position now. There is no need to close your eyes just yet. Instead, simply let your gaze soften. Let the tension in your jaw and shoulders loosen, dropping away like a heavy cloak you no longer need to wear. Watch the shadows lengthen on the screen, letting the visuals guide you into a state of quiet focus. The noise of the world outside is fading, retreating into a distant hum, until there is nothing left but the rhythm of your own breathing and the sound of my voice. Tonight, we are taking a slow, gentle descent into the velvet shadows of the ancient world. We are going to a place that the Greeks believed was the beginning of all great stories. A wedding feast on a mountain, and a shepherd sleeping on a hillside. Before we drift further into the mist of the past, if you find a sense of peace in these stories, please gently press the like button and subscribe to our channel. It is a small gesture, like lighting a candle in a dark hall, helping us guide more weary travelers to this place of rest. And if you wish, whisper in the comments where you are drifting off from tonight. It is comforting to know we are drifting together. Now, let your breathing slow down. Inhale deeply and exhale slowly. Imagine that the air around you is thinning, becoming crisp and cool. We are rising up, leaving the heavy earth behind, floating toward the high peaks of Mount Pelion. This is not the jagged, stormy home of Zeus on Olympus, but a greener, wilder mountain, where the centaurs roam and the ancient pines whisper secrets to the wind. It is here, in a lush valley hidden from mortal eyes, that a wedding is taking place. It is the marriage of Peleus, a mortal king of great piety, and Thetis, a shimmering goddess of the sea who moves with the grace of a gentle wave. The gods have gathered here to celebrate. Picture the scene in your mind's eye. The sun has just dipped below the horizon, leaving the sky painted in hues of violet and deep indigo. Torches have been lit, their flames dancing softly in the evening breeze, casting a warm, golden glow over the banquet tables. The tables are carved from ancient cedar wood, polished until they shine like glass. They are laden with fruits that seem to glow from within, grapes as dark as the night sky, pomegranates bursting with ruby seeds, figs dripping with sweet honey, and golden goblets of nectar that refill themselves, never running dry. The air is warm and filled with the scent of roasted meats, wild thyme, and the salty tang of the distant sea. The music is soft, almost part of the wind itself. It is played by Apollo, the god of light and music. On his golden lyre, he plucks the strings with fingers made of sunlight, and the notes float through the air like ribbons, weaving a spell of absolute contentment over everyone present. The muses are singing, their voices harmonizing with the rustle of the leaves and the distant sound of a waterfall cascading down the rocks. It is a perfect evening, the kind of evening where time seems to stop, where everything is beautiful and nothing hurts. Zeus sits at the head of the table, his presence like a calm storm, his beard thick and gray, his eyes twinkling with the merriment of the feast. Beside him sits Hera, majestic in her crown of lilies and gold, her robes shimmering like the feathers of a peacock. Poseidon is there, smelling of brine and deep oceans. Athena, wise and gray-eyed, watches the festivities with a calm smile. Even Eris, the god of war, has laid down his spear and shield to drink the sweet wine of peace. But there is one guest who was not invited. Eris, the goddess of discord. She who walks in strife. She was left off the guest list. For who wants discord at a wedding? Who wants the harmony of the spheres disrupted by the jagged edge of conflict? But Eris, being who she is, did not need an invitation to make her presence felt. She did not storm in with thunder. She did not shout. She simply stood at the edge of the light, unseen in the shadows of the ancient trees, where the torchlight could not reach. In her hand, she held an object of singular beauty, an apple, a golden apple, plucked from the sacred garden of the Hesperides, where the sun sets in the west. It was heavy, cool to the touch, and it glowed with an inner light, as if it held the essence of a star within its skin. With a flick of her wrist, she rolled the apple across the banquet floor. It rolled slowly, with a heavy, metallic hum. It passed the feet of the dancers, past the hem of the gods' robes, reflecting the firelight as it moved. It came to a stop in the very center of the hall, spinning gently on its axis before settling into stillness. It gleamed in the torchlight, perfect and round, and upon its skin, 3 words were carved in the ancient tongue: "To the fairest." The music stopped. The laughter died away. The silence that followed was not peaceful. It was heavy with expectation. The air grew thick. 3 goddesses rose from their seats. Hera, the queen of heaven; Athena, the goddess of wisdom; and Aphrodite, the goddess of love, born of the sea foam, radiant as the dawn, wearing nothing but a smile and the scent of roses. Each believed the apple was meant for her. Each reached for it. And in that reaching, the fate of the world began to turn. Zeus, the king of gods, wisely refused to judge. He knew that to choose one was to anger the others. He looked down at the mortal world, searching for a solution. His gaze drifted away from the banquet, down the slopes of the mountains, across the plains, and over the sea, until it landed on another mountain, Mount Ida. Let us drift now from the banquet hall. Feel the transition in the air. We are leaving the divine heights for the warm, earthy smell of the mortal world. You can close your eyes now if they feel heavy. Let the visual of the golden hall fade into the sunlight of a summer afternoon. We are on the slopes of Mount Ida, near the great city of Troy. It is high noon. The sun is warm on the tall grass, heating the earth until it smells of dust and dry pine needles. The air is filled with the lazy buzzing of bees and the soft bleating of sheep. A young man is sitting in the shade of a great oak tree. His name is Paris. He is a prince of Troy, but he does not know it yet. Or perhaps he has chosen to forget it. He lives as a shepherd, playing a reed flute, letting the melody drift up into the blue sky. He is resting, his back against the rough bark of the tree. His eyes are half closed. He is in that state between waking and sleeping, where the world feels soft and dreamlike. He hears the wind in the leaves. He hears the water of a nearby spring trickling over stones. It is a peaceful life, a life of simple rhythms. Sun up, sun down, sheep to pasture, sheep to fold. Suddenly, the air shimmers. The light changes, becoming brighter. more intense than the noon sun. Hermes, the messenger god, appears. He wears his winged sandals and holds his staff. The caduceus. He does not speak loudly. He wakes Paris gently, and behind him, 3 figures emerge from the light. The 3 goddesses have come. They do not appear in their terrifying, giant forms. They appear in their breathtaking beauty, walking on the grass without bending the blades. They present the apple to the shepherd. They ask him to choose, but they do not just ask. They offer gifts, bribes wrapped in divine promises. Hera steps forward first. She is tall and regal. Her voice is like the sound of a golden trumpet. She offers him power. She promises him the kingship of all Asia. Imagine it, crowned in gold, ruling over vast lands. His name spoken with reverence from the coast to the mountains. A life of authority, a life of legacy. She shows him visions of walled cities bowing to him, of vast armies marching under his banner, of a throne that sits above all others. It is a heavy, golden dream of sovereignty. Athena steps forward next. Her eyes are gray and calm. Like the sea after a storm, she offers him wisdom and victory in battle. She promises that he will never know defeat, that his mind will be sharp as a diamond, that he will lead armies to glory and be remembered as the greatest strategist of his age. She shows him the clarity of the battlefield, the perfect move in the chaos of war, the respect of wise men and heroes. It is a cool, silver dream of invincibility. Then, Aphrodite steps forward. She does not offer a crown. She does not offer a sword. She loosens the girdle at her waist and smiles. Her voice is like honey, like the sound of waves lapping on a warm shore. She offers him love. She promises him the most beautiful woman in the world, Helen of Sparta. She breathes the scent of desire into the air, a scent of wild roses and sea salt. She promises a life of passion, a connection that defies nations and laws, a life where the heart is the only ruler. Paris looks at the apple in his hand. It is heavy and warm. He looks at Hera, offering the world. He looks at Athena, offering the mind. And he looks at Aphrodite, offering the heart. He is young. He is a shepherd who sleeps under the stars. He does not care for armies. He does not care for maps. He cares for beauty. Slowly, inevitably, he extends his hand. He gives the golden apple to Aphrodite. In that moment, the wind on the mountain shifts. The sun seems to dip slightly in the sky. Hera and Athena vanish, their pride wounded, their wrath kindled. They will not forget this slight. The air grows cold where they stood, but Aphrodite smiles, a smile that promises everything and hides the cost. The world has changed. The first thread of the great tapestry has been woven. The scene fades. The mountain of Ida grows quiet again. The sheep continue to graze. The bees continue to buzz. Paris holds the apple, unaware that he holds the seed of a fire that will consume a civilization. But for now, there is only the afternoon sun, the smell of the pine, and the dream of a woman he has never met. Let yourself rest in this quiet moment on the mountain. The decision is made. The gears of fate have begun to turn. But they turn slowly. There is no rush. We have time. We can linger here in the shade of the oak tree, breathing in the mountain air, before we travel across the sea to the house of the swan-born queen. We drift now, leaving the sun-drenched slopes of Mount Ida behind. We move across the glittering Aegean Sea, gliding over the water like a seabird. The water below is calm, dark blue, rippling gently under the touch of the wind. We are following the thread of fate, a thin golden line that stretches from the shepherd's hand across the waves toward the city of Sparta. Sparta, in this age, is not yet a city of iron warriors and harsh discipline. It is a place of red stone palaces, nestled in the fertile valley of the Eurotas River. It is a land of olive groves, where the leaves shimmer silver in the sunlight, and orchards heavy with figs and lemons. In the center of this valley stands the palace of King Menelaus. It is a place of wealth and order. And walking through the halls of this palace is Helen. Helen, the daughter of Zeus, hatched, they say, from a swan's egg. Her beauty is not merely physical. It is elemental. It is a force of nature, like the pull of the tide or the heat of the sun. When she walks into a room, conversation stops, not out of fear, but out of a sudden, collective intake of breath. She moves with a slow, deliberate grace, her robes trailing on the stone floor with a soft whispering sound. Imagine her sitting by her loom in the late afternoon. The light is filtering through the high windows, illuminating dust motes dancing in the air. She weaves a tapestry of purple wool, her hands moving rhythmically. Click-clack, click-clack. It is a hypnotic sound. She is the queen of Sparta, wife to Menelaus, mother to a young daughter. Her life is settled. Her life is calm. But beneath the calm, perhaps there is a river of longing, waiting for a storm to break its banks. And the storm arrives in the form of a guest. Paris, the Prince of Troy, arrives at the gates. He comes under the guise of diplomacy, but he is guided by the invisible hand of Aphrodite. Menelaus welcomes him with the sacred laws of hospitality. He offers him wine, offers him meat, offers him a bed. The palace is filled with the sounds of feasting. But we do not need to dwell on the betrayal. Let us focus on the departure. It happens in the quiet of the night. Menelaus is away, called to Crete for a funeral. The palace is sleeping. The torches have burned down to embers. Paris and Helen move through the shadows. Do they run? Do they walk? Is it an abduction or an escape? The myths whisper both. But imagine the silence of the moment, the soft creak of a heavy door opening, the cool night air rushing in. They walk down to the harbor where Paris's ship is waiting. The water laps against the wooden hull. Slap, slap, slap. Asterisk, the sails are unfurled, catching the night wind. They board the ship. The ropes are cast off. The ship slips away from the dock, cutting a white path through the black water. They are sailing east, toward the rising sun, toward Troy. Behind them, they leave a husband, a child, and a peace that will be broken for 10 years. When Menelaus returns, the silence of the palace is different. It is hollow. It is the silence of absence. He does not rage immediately. He stands in her empty room. He sees her loom, the thread broken. He feels the ghost of her perfume in the air. And then The grief turns to resolve. He remembers the oath. Years before, when Helen was to be married, all the kings of Greece had gathered. They had all wanted her. To prevent a war between them, Odysseus, the clever king of Ithaca, had made them swear a solemn oath, the oath of Tyndareus. They swore to defend the chosen husband. They swore that if anyone ever stole Helen away, they would all unite to bring her back. Now, Menelaus calls in the debt. Messengers ride out from Sparta. Their horses' hooves thunder on the dirt roads, kicking up clouds of dust. They ride to Mycenae, to the lion gate of Agamemnon, the high king. They ride to Pylos, to the sandy palace of old Nestor. They ride to the rocky islands and the fertile plains. We drift to the island of Ithaca, a rugged, beautiful place of limestone cliffs and wild goats. Here lives Odysseus. He is a man of the mind, a man who prefers the quiet of his farm to the noise of war. He has just become a father. His son, Telemachus, is an infant. His wife, Penelope, is his anchor. He hears the call to war, and his heart sinks. He does not want to go. He knows, with the foresight of the wise, that if he leaves, he will not return for 20 years. Imagine him standing on the cliffs of Ithaca, looking out at the sea. The wind tears at his cloak. He smells the salt and the wild thyme. He loves this land. He tries to trick the messengers. He pretends to be mad. He yokes a donkey and an ox, together mismatched beasts, and plows the sands of the beach, sowing salt instead of seed. He wants to stay. He wants the simple rhythm of the seasons. But the trick fails. They place his son before the plow, and he swerves. His sanity is revealed. His fate is sealed. With a heavy heart, he kisses his wife goodbye. He boards his black ship. The sail rises. Ithaca fades into the mist behind him. And then there is Achilles, the greatest of them all. His mother, Thetis, knows that Troy means his death. She hides him on the island of Skyros, disguising him as a girl. He lives in the cool, marble halls of the king, wearing silk, listening to the fountains. It is a suspended reality, a quiet interlude. But he too is found. The trumpet blows. The warrior awakens. He chooses the short life of glory over the long life of peace. He too boards a ship. The ships begin to gather, 1 by 1, 10 by 10, 100 by 100. They sail toward the port of Aulis. The bay fills with wood and canvas, the sound of thousands of men, the creaking of ropes, the smell of tar and salt. It is the greatest fleet the world has ever seen. 1,000 ships, a floating city destined for a foreign shore. But as they gather, something strange happens. The wind stops. Let us settle into this moment. The Bay of Aulis becomes a mirror. The water is so still that the reflection of the black ships is perfect, unbroken by even a single ripple. We are hovering over this vast fleet, a forest of masts stripped bare of their canvas, standing like bare trees in winter. The air is hot and heavy, pressing down on the shoulders of the kings and soldiers who wait. This is the pause, the breath held before the scream. For weeks, The Greek army has been stranded here. Agamemnon paces the shoreline. His armor is heavy. His brow is furrowed. He looks to the sky, searching for a cloud, for a bird, for any sign of change. But the sky is an empty, relentless blue. The goddess Artemis is angry. She has stopped the winds. Imagine the quiet in the camp. It is not a peaceful quiet. It is a heavy, suffocating silence. Men sit by their fires, polishing their shields, sharpening their spears, speaking in low voices about home. They think of the harvest they are missing. They think of their wives weaving by the hearth. They think of their children growing taller without them. They are caught in a liminal space, no longer at home, but not yet at war. They are suspended in waiting. Waiting is a form of sleep. It is a surrender of control. You cannot force the wind to blow. You cannot force the tide to turn. You can only wait. Let yourself feel the weight of that waiting. It is a slowing down of time. The days stretch out, long and golden. The nights are deep and starless. In this stillness, the mind turns inward. The heroes reflect on why they are here. Is it for Helen? Is it for gold? Is it for glory? Or is it simply because fate has pulled them here? Like driftwood caught in a current. Then comes the prophecy. A sacrifice is demanded. Iphigenia, the daughter of the king. We will not dwell on the sharp edge of the knife. It is too harsh for this night. Let us focus instead on the resolution. The sacrifice is made, in sorrow and in fog. And then the miracle happens, felt before it is seen. A cooling touch on the cheek, a rustle in the dry grass on the dunes, a ripple on the surface of the water, shattering the perfect reflection of the masts. The wind. It starts as a whisper, a sigh from the gods. Then it grows. It fills the empty sails, snapping them taut with a sound like a cracking whip. The ships groan as they wake from their slumber. The water churns white at the bows. The stagnation is broken. The fleet is moving. Imagine the sight of 1,000 ships launching at once. It is a ballet of wood and rope and water. The oars dip in unison, creating a rhythm that echoes off the cliffs. Stroke, pause, stroke, pause, asterisk. It is a hypnotic beat, driving them forward, away from the familiar, into the unknown. They sail across the Aegean Sea. The water changes color as they go, from the turquoise of the shallows to the deep, dark violet of the open ocean, the wine-dark sea. The journey is long. They pass islands that look like sleeping giants. They pass schools of dolphins playing in the wake. They sail under the light of the moon, guided by the constellations Orion, the Bear, the Pleiades. On the deck of his ship, Odysseus stands watching the stars. He thinks of Ithaca. Beside him, the soldiers sleep, wrapped in their cloaks, dreaming of glory, dreaming of fear. The ship rocks them like a cradle. The sea is a vast, breathing entity, holding them up, carrying them toward their destiny. We drift with them. We are part of the wind. We are part of the wake. We are moving toward Troy. But there is no rush. The sea is wide, and the night is long. Let the rhythm of the oars lull you. Let the sound of the water soothe you. We are on our way. We have arrived now at the shores of Troy. But do not imagine a battle just yet. Instead, let your mind settle into the rhythm of the waves, the long, slow, endless rhythm of the Aegean Sea crashing against the sandy beach. Wash in, wash out, wash in, wash out. This is the sound that will define the next 10 years. For the War of Troy was not a sudden explosion of violence. It was a long, slow season of waiting. A decade of watching the sun rise over the walls of the city and set behind the black ships of the Greeks. 10 years. Let yourself feel the weight of that time. It is heavy, like a woolen blanket soaked in seawater. It is slow, like honey dripping from a spoon. The 1,000 ships that sailed from Aulis with such purpose have been drawn up onto the sand. They are no longer creatures of the open ocean. They have become a city of wood, a fortress of timber and tar. Their keels are buried deep in the dunes. Their masts stand like a forest of bare, winter trees against the sky. Ropes that once sang in the wind now hang slack, bleached white by the relentless Anatolian sun. The wood has turned gray with age, seasoned by the salt spray and the baking heat. Imagine walking through this camp. The air smells of salt, of drying seaweed, of wood smoke, and of roasted barley. It is a domestic smell, strangely peaceful. The soldiers have put down their spears and taken up the tools of daily life. They are no longer just warriors. They are men living at the edge of the world. You see them sitting by their tents, polishing their bronze shields not for battle, but to keep away the rust of the sea air, rubbing the metal in slow, circular motions, round and round. The sound of cloth on bronze is a soft, rhythmic hiss. Sh, sh. The seasons turn like a great wheel, grinding slowly through the years. First comes the summer. The heat is a physical weight, pressing down on the plain. The air shimmers above the sand, distorting the view of the city walls until they look like a mirage. The cicadas sing in the dry grass, a high, droning chorus that induces a trance-like state. The men seek the shade of the ships, sleeping through the long, hot afternoons. The metal of their armor becomes too hot to touch. The horses stand with their heads bowed, tails flicking away the flies in a lazy rhythm. Dust coats everything, a fine, golden dust that settles in the creases of clothes, in the lines of faces, in the very pores of the skin. It is the dust of a foreign land, ancient and dry. Then comes the autumn. The winds change. The sea turns a darker shade of gray, churning with whitecaps. The clouds gather over Mount Ida, heavy and bruised with rain. The first drops fall, kicking up puffs of dust before turning the ground to mud. The sound of the rain on the tent canvas is a steady drumming. Tap, tap, tap. Thousands of drops, merging into a white noise that drowns out all thought. The men huddle around their fires, wrapping their wool cloaks tighter against the damp. They tell stories of home. They speak of the harvest in Argos, of the grape picking in Ithaca, of the rain falling on the olive groves of Mycenae. Memory becomes more real than the present. They live in the past, while their bodies wait in the rain. Then winter. The wind howls from the north, cold and biting. It rattles the masts like dry bones. It tears at the tents, snapping the canvas. The sea becomes wild, foam crashing against the black hulls. The days are short and gray. The nights are long and deep. Frost covers the ground in the morning, a fragile layer of crystal that crunches underfoot. The men breathe clouds of steam. They drink warm wine mixed with honey to keep out the chill. They wait for the spring. They wait for the fighting season. But even the fighting becomes a routine. A skirmish here, a raid there. It is not the glorious war of songs. It is a job, a duty, a way to pass the time. And always, there is the city, Troy. Look up from the beach. Look across the plain. There it stands, the object of all this waiting. The walls of Troy are not like the walls of mortal cities. They were built by the gods, by Apollo and Poseidon. They are made of massive, fitted stones, smooth and impregnable. They glow in the sunset with a pale, rose gold light. They loom in the moonlight like a mountain of silver. They are beautiful. They are terrifying. They are indifferent. Inside those walls, life also has its rhythm. The Trojans are not starving. They are not afraid. They are simply waiting, just like the Greeks. From the high towers, the sentries look down at the camp on the beach. They see the smoke of the fires. They see the tiny figures moving on the sand. It is like watching a colony of ants. And sometimes, if you look closely at the highest tower, near the Scaean gates, you might see a figure standing alone, a woman in white robes, Helen, the face that launched 1,000 ships. But here, in the quiet of the 10th year, she is not a symbol of war. She is just a woman looking at the sea. The wind catches her hair, blowing it across her face. She pulls her veil tighter. What is she thinking? Does she miss Sparta? Does she miss the Redstone Palace and the cool river Eurotas? Or has she forgotten? The river Lethe flows through time, as well as the underworld. 10 years is a long time to remember a husband's face. She watches the Greek camp. She knows that down there, Menelaus is watching the walls. Two people, separated by a plain of dust and a wall of stone, connected by a thread of memory and regret. She does not move. She stands as still as a statue, a marble figure of loneliness against the vast blue sky. She is a prisoner of her own beauty, a prisoner of the story she has created. The days bleed into one another. Sunrise. The golden light touches the peak of Ida, then the towers of Troy, then the masts of the ships. Sunset. The shadows lengthen, stretching across the plain like reaching fingers. The light turns purple, then indigo, then black. The stars come out, the same stars that look down on Greece. Orion the hunter, the Great Bear, the Pleiades. The soldiers look up and find comfort in the constellations. The stars are the only things that haven't changed. They are the fixed points in a world of flux. In the camp of the Myrmidons, the soldiers of Achilles, there is a distinct quiet. They are the elite. They are the wolves of war. But even wolves sleep. They sharpen their spears with whetstones. Scritch-scratch, scritch-scratch, a hypnotic, repetitive sound. They braid the manes of their horses. They oil the leather of their sandals. They are preparing for a moment that seems never to come. Achilles walks the beach alone. He is the greatest of them all. Swift-footed and godlike, but he is also the most restless. He knows his fate. He knows he will not grow old. He will not see his father again. He walks by the surf, letting the water wash over his feet. He picks up a stone, smooth and white, and throws it into the sea. Plop. Ripples spread and vanish. His life is like that stone, a brief disturbance in the water, and then the ocean remains. He looks toward the city. He knows Hector is there, the Prince of Troy. His counterpart, his shadow, they are destined to meet, but not today. Today is for waiting. Today is for the wind and the sun and the slow creep of time. Nearby, Odysseus sits by his black ship, the man of many turns, the man of strategy. He is carving a piece of driftwood. He is making a toy for the son he left behind, a son who is now 10 years old, a son who would not recognize him. Odysseus stops carving. He looks at the horizon. His eyes are the color of the sea, deep and unreadable. He is plotting. He is always plotting. But even his sharp mind is dulled by the long wait. He sighs, and the sound is lost in the wind. The sun reaches its zenith. The heat is intense. The camp falls silent for the midday rest. Even the dogs stop barking. Even the gulls stop crying. There is a heavy, profound stillness. It feels as if the world has stopped turning, as if this moment, this beach, this siege, is all that exists. There is no past. There is no future. There is only the eternal now of Troy. Breathe into that stillness. Feel the heat on your skin. Feel the dry air in your lungs. You are not part of the war. You are an observer. You are a ghost drifting through the camp. You are safe. You are untouched. You are simply watching the slow, majestic passage of time. The years have layered over the land like sediment. The grief, the anger, the hope, the boredom, it is all settled into the earth. The plain of Troy is a palimpsest of emotion, but under the midday sun, it is just dust. Dust and silence. Let the image of the beach fade slowly, the ships becoming shadows, the walls of Troy becoming clouds, the sound of the waves becoming the sound of your own breath. You are drifting in the long watch. You are waiting. But you are not waiting for war. You are waiting for sleep. And sleep is coming. Slow and steady as the tide. The boredom of the camp is a lullaby. The repetition of the waves is a song of peace. Drift now. Drift on the sea of time. The stillness of the 10th year is broken not by a shout, but by a prayer. It begins on a day that looks like any other in the long siege. The sun is high and bright. The sea is calm, lapping gently at the sand. But there is a figure walking along the beach, coming from the direction of the city, moving towards the Greek ships. It is an old man, dressed in the pristine white robes of a priest, the hem dragging in the sand. He carries a staff wrapped in wool, the sacred symbol of a suppliant, a man who comes to beg for mercy under the protection of the gods. He walks slowly, his sandals crunching on the pebbles with a rhythmic sound. Crunch, step, crunch, step. This is Chryses. He is a priest of Apollo, the god of the silver bow, the god of the sun, and the god of healing. He has come to the Greek camp not to fight, but to beg. His daughter, Chrysis, has been taken in a raid. She is a captive in the tent of Agamemnon, the High King. The old man carries gold, a heavy ransom to buy back his child, sacks of treasure that weigh down his old shoulders. He walks through the lines of soldiers. They look up from their dice games and their meals. They watch him with curiosity. They respect his age. They respect his god. He arrives at the central square of the camp, where the kings are gathered in council. He raises his staff, the wool fluttering in the breeze. He speaks with a voice that trembles with age and emotion, but carries clearly in the silence. Sons of Atreus, he says, may the gods who live on Olympus grant you victory and a safe journey home. But give me back my daughter. Accept this ransom, and revere the son of Zeus, Apollo, who strikes from afar. The soldiers shout in agreement. Respect the priest, they cry. Take the gold. They are tired of war. They are fathers too. They understand the pain of a parent who has lost a child. They want to avoid the anger of the gods. But Agamemnon stands. He is a tall man, broad-shouldered, wearing a cloak of purple dyed with sea snails, the color of kingship. He is powerful, but he is brittle. His pride is a wall higher than Troy's. And just as defensive, he looks at the old man with cold, dismissive eyes. He does not see a father. He sees a challenge to his authority. He sees a weakness. Go away, old man, he growls, his voice like grinding stones. Do not let me find you here by the hollow ships. Your staff will not protect you. I will not release her. She will grow old in my house in Argos, far from her homeland, working the loom and sharing my bed. Go now. Do not provoke me, or you will not leave this camp alive. The cruelty of the words hangs in the hot air like a bad smell. The old man trembles. He is afraid. He bows his head and turns away. He walks back along the shore of the loud roaring sea. He walks until he is alone, until the camp is just a line of smoke in the distance, until the only sound is the wind and the waves. And then he kneels in the wet sand. He lifts his hands to the sun. He prays to his God. Hear me, Lord of the silver bow. If I have ever built you a temple, if I have ever burned fat thighs of bulls for you, grant me this wish. Let the Greeks pay for my tears with your arrows. Apollo hears, on the snowy peaks of Olympus, far above the world. The god listens. His face grows dark, like the sudden gathering of a summer storm. He descends. He does not walk. He glides down the mountain, wrapped in the night, a shadow moving against the sky. The arrows in the quiver on his shoulder rattle as he moves. Clatter, clatter, a sound like dry bones shaking in a tomb. He sits on a hill overlooking the Greek camp. He is invisible to the eyes of men, but the animals sense him. The dogs whine and hide under the wagons, tails tucked between their legs. The mules stamp their hooves in fear, their eyes rolling white. Apollo draws his silver bow. The string hums with a terrible, high-pitched note. Twang. It is not a battle. It is a fever. The arrow strikes, but it leaves no mark on the skin. It brings a sickness that burns from the inside. First, the animals die. The camp is filled with the smell of rotting carcasses. Then the men. It starts with a dry cough, then a sweat that soaks the bedding, then a fire in the blood that cannot be quenched. Day after day, the pyres burn. The smoke rolls thick and black across the beach, blotting out the sun, turning noon into twilight. The sound of the camp changes. The laughter is gone. The storytelling is gone. There is only the sound of coughing, the sound of weeping, and the crackle of the funeral fires consuming the dead. For 9 days, the gods' arrows rain down. The heat is oppressive. The air is heavy and stagnant, clinging to the skin like a wet cloth. Death is everywhere. It is a slow, suffocating nightmare. The heroes are helpless. Swords cannot fight a fever. Shields cannot block a god. On the 10th day, Achilles calls an assembly. He can no longer watch his people die. He stands in the center of the gathering, his face grim, his golden hair matted with sweat. He calls for Calchas, the seer, to tell them why the god is angry. Calchas is afraid of Agamemnon, but Achilles promises to protect him. And so, the truth is spoken. It is because of the priest. Calchas says, because Agamemnon dishonored him, the god will not stop until the girl is returned, without ransom, and a sacred sacrifice is made. Agamemnon rises. His eyes are like burning coals in his face. He is furious at being publicly blamed. He calls the seer a prophet of evil, but he knows he is trapped. He cannot let the army die. I will give her back, he shouts, his voice cracking with rage. But I will not go without a prize. I am the king. My honor must be satisfied. If I lose my prize, I will take another. I will take yours, Achilles. I will take Briseis, the girl you love. The silence that follows is absolute. It is the silence of a bowstring pulled to its breaking point. Achilles stares at the king. The air between them vibrates with tension. His hand goes to the hilt of his sword. He is half-minded to draw it, to cut Agamemnon down right there in the sand. His muscles coil. His breath comes short. The fate of the army hangs on a heartbeat. But then, a moment of divine intervention. Athena, the gray-eyed goddess of wisdom, comes down from the sky. She moves unseen by the others. Only Achilles can see her. She stands behind him and grabs him by his golden hair. He turns in surprise. Her eyes are calm, steadying, like cool water. Stop, she whispers. Do not strike. Fight him with words, but do not kill him. A time will come when he will pay you 3 times over for this insult. But for now, hold your hand. Check your rage. Achilles obeys. He pushes the sword back into the scabbard. Click. The sound is final. He turns to Agamemnon and speaks words of cold, hard iron. You drunkard with the eyes of a dog and the heart of a deer. You threaten me, I fight for you. I bleed for you, and you treat me like a servant. Fine. Take the girl. But know this, I am done. I will not fight for you anymore. I will take my ships and my men, and I will sit by the sea. And when Hector comes to burn your ships, when you are dying in the dust, you will cry out for Achilles, and I will not hear you. He throws the staff of the assembly onto the ground. It hits the earth with a dull thud. He turns and walks away. He walks out of the assembly, followed by his friend Patroclus. He walks back to his own camp, far at the end of the line, leaving the kings in stunned silence. Later, the heralds come to take Briseis. Achilles does not fight them. He brings her out of his tent. She is weeping. She looks at him, her eyes pleading, but he lets her go. He watches her walk away across the sand, her white robe fluttering in the wind, until she disappears into the haze of the heat. Now, the rage of Achilles turns inward. It becomes a cold, hard stone in his chest. He withdraws from the war, and without him, the tide turns. The Trojans, emboldened by his absence, surge forward. They push the Greeks back. They reach the wall of the camp. They threaten the ships with fire. Agamemnon panics. He realizes his mistake. He sends an embassy to Achilles. It is night. The moon is full, casting a silver path on the water. 3 men walk along the beach, Odysseus. The cleverest, Ajax. The strongest, and Phoenix, the old tutor who raised Achilles. They come to the tent of the hero. They find him sitting quietly, playing a lyre. He welcomes them with perfect hospitality. He pours wine. He offers meat. Odysseus speaks first. He is eloquent. He paints a picture of the Greek disaster. He offers Agamemnon's gifts 7 tripods, 10 talents of gold, 20 shining cauldrons, 12 horses, and the return of Briseis. Take the gifts. Odysseus urges, return to the fight. Save your countrymen. Achilles listens. His face is like marble. He shakes his head. I hate that man like the gates of Hades. He says softly, he has dishonored me. No amount of gold can buy back my life. My mother told me I have 2 fates. If I stay, I die young with glory. If I leave, I live long without fame. I choose life. Tomorrow, I will load my ships. Tomorrow, I sail home. The refusal is a shock. The embassy leaves, defeated, walking back into the darkness. But Achilles does not sleep. He hangs up his sword. He takes down his lyre again, a beautiful instrument with a bridge of silver and a shell of tortoise. He sits in the semi-darkness of the tent. Outside, the camp is in chaos, but inside, there is music. Listen to the sound. Pluck, pluck, The notes are clear and melancholic, vibrating in the still air. Achilles sings. He does not sing of war. He sings of the deeds of old heroes. He sings of the tragedy of life. His voice is deep and rich, filling the small space of the tent. It is a lullaby for his own angry heart. Patroclus sits across from him, silent. He listens to the music. He watches his friend's face. Softened by the shadows, the rage is still there, burning like a coal under the ash. But the music keeps it contained. Outside, the waves crash on the shore. Whoosh, crash. The sound mixes with the lyre, the music of the man and the music of the nature. It is a hypnotic duet. The world has shrunk down to this tent. The war is far away. The insults of kings are far away. There is only the vibration of the strings, the smell of the sea, and the deep, abiding friendship of two men sitting in the dark. This is the eye of the storm, the moment of suspension. Achilles has stopped the clock of the war. He has pressed pause on destiny. He is waiting. He is healing. He is drifting on the sound of his own song. Let the sound of the lyre fill your mind. Imagine the notes floating up like sparks from a fire, disappearing into the night sky. The anger dissolves into the melody. The tension melts into the rhythm. You are sitting in the tent with them. You are safe in the shadow of the hero. You are listening to the song of the sorrow of the world. And it is beautiful. It is peaceful. It is enough. The sun sets. The camp settles into an uneasy sleep. But in the tent of Achilles, the lamp still burns low. The music continues, soft and slow, a heartbeat in the night, waiting for the dawn, waiting for the end. But not yet. Not tonight. Tonight, there is only the song. The days without Achilles pass slowly, heavy with heat and dread. The balance of the war, which had teetered for 9 years like a scale in perfect equilibrium, now tips violently toward Troy, without the golden-haired warrior on the field. The Greeks are no longer the hunters. They have become the prey. Hector, the prince of Troy, sees the gap in the line where the Myrmidons used to stand. He sees the hesitation in the Greek movements. And like a wolf that senses the weakness of the herd, he strikes. Imagine the sound of the Trojan advance. It is not a chaotic roar, but a rhythmic, terrifying drumbeat of thousands of feet marching in unison on the hard-packed earth. They cross the plain. They cross the ford of the river Scamander, the water churning white around their knees. They push past the ditch the Greeks dug with such desperate hands. They reach the wall of the camp. And then, for the first time in a decade, the battle is not fought on the open plain, but among the tents and the ships. The air fills with a new and terrible smell. It is not just the metallic tang of blood or the earthy scent of dust. It is the smell of burning pitch. Hector has called for torches. He intends to burn the Greek ships, to cut off their only path home, to trap them between the fire and the sea. Watch the smoke rising. It is thick and oily, blacker than a thundercloud, curling up into the blue sky, blotting out the sun. The flames lick at the black hulls of the ships, paint blistering, wood groaning as it turns to charcoal. The heat is intense, a physical wall that presses against the skin. Inside the tent of Achilles, however, there is a strange, cool silence. The roar of the battle outside is muffled by the heavy wool of the tent walls, sounding like a storm raging far away. Achilles sits on a rug of lion skin, his back turned to the door. He is playing his lyre, lost in a melody of his own making. He is trying to drown out the world. He is trying to convince himself that he does not care. But his friend, Patroclus, cannot look away. Patroclus stands at the entrance of the tent, watching the smoke rise. He is the gentle one, the one who heals wounds with soothing salves, the one who knows the names of the serving girls and the horses. He sees the Greeks dying. He sees the ships burning. And his heart, which is not made of stone like Achilles, begins to break. Tears stream down his face. Hot and fast, he goes to Achilles, weeping like a girl who has dropped her doll. Achilles looks up. "Why are you crying?" "Patroclus," he asks, his voice soft but edged with confusion. "You weep like a child running to her mother. What is it? Have you heard bad news from home? Is my father dead?" "No," Patroclus says, his voice trembling. "It is not your father. It is your people. They are dying. Achilles, Diomedes is wounded. Odysseus is wounded. Agamemnon is bleeding. The ships are burning. If you will not fight, if your anger is still too great to hold a sword, then at least let me go. Let me take your armor. Let me lead your myrmidons. If the Trojans see your helmet, they will think you have returned. They will run. Just let me save the ships." Achilles looks at his friend. He sees the pain in his eyes. He looks at the smoke curling under the flap of the tent. His pride is a fortress. But Patroclus is the only one who holds the key to the gate. He hesitates. He feels the thread of fate tightening around his chest. A cold premonition that he pushes away. Finally, he nods. "Go," he says. "Take my armor. Take my horses. Drive them from the ships. But listen to me. Patroclus, listen closely. Do not go to the walls of Troy. Do not try to be a hero. Do not chase Hector. Once the ships are safe, come back to me. The gods are watching, and they are cruel." Now begins the ritual of dressing. It is a solemn, quiet ceremony. Patroclus stands in the center of the tent. He puts on the greaves first. The shin guards made of tin that gleam like silver. He fastens the straps around his ankles. He puts on the breastplate, the corselet of bronze that has deflected 1,000 spears. It is heavy, molded to the muscles of Achilles. A little too broad for Patroclus, but he tightens the leather until it fits. He slings the sword over his shoulder, the silver studs on the hilt catching the dim light. He picks up the shield, the massive circle of heavy ox hide and bronze. And finally, he takes the helmet with the horsehair crest that nods terribly when the warrior moves. He places it on his head. His face disappears. He is no longer Patroclus. To the world, he is now Achilles. He looks at his hands, encased in bronze gauntlets. He feels the power of the disguise. But there is one thing he cannot take: the spear of Achilles, the massive shaft of Pelean ash, cut from the top of a mountain, so heavy that only Achilles can wield it. Patroclus leaves it, leaning against the tent pole, a silent reminder that he is playing a role he cannot fully fill. He walks out into the sunlight. The myrmidons, the Ant-Men soldiers, are waiting. They have been sleeping like wolves, but now they are awake. They see the armor. They give a shout that shakes the earth. They do not know it is Patroclus. They think their king has returned. Patroclus mounts the chariot. The immortal horses, Xanthus and Peleus, paw the ground. They know the difference. They can smell the fear and the gentleness in the new driver. But they obey. The gates of the camp swing open, and the tide turns. Imagine the sight from above. The Trojans are swarming over the ships, torches in hand, and suddenly, a wedge of fresh warriors, clad in black and bronze, smashes into their flank. At the head of them shines a figure of terrifying brilliance. The Trojans look up. They see the helmet. They see the armor. Achilles, the cry, goes up. Achilles has returned. Panic is a cold water shock. The Trojans turn and run. They drop their torches. They scramble over the ditch. They trample each other in their haste to get away from the man they fear most in the world. Patroclus drives them back. He fights with a fury that surprises even himself. He is drunk on the power of the legend he is wearing. He forgets himself. He forgets the promise. He clears the ships. The fire is extinguished. The Greeks are saved. He should turn back now. He should return to the tent where Achilles is waiting with a cup of wine. But the dust of battle is thick. The roar of the blood is loud in his ears. He sees the Trojans fleeing across the plain toward the city, and he chases them. To the walls, he shouts, "To the walls." He drives the chariot across the plain, the wheels kicking up clouds of sand. He kills Sarpedon, the son of Zeus. A great warrior falls, like an oak tree crashing down in the forest. Zeus watches from Olympus and weeps tears of blood that fall as dark rain upon the battlefield. But he does not intervene. Fate must have its way. Patroclus reaches the walls of Troy. He tries to climb them. 3 times he leaps at the high stone ramparts. 3 times Apollo, the protector of the city, pushes him back with his immortal hand. "Go back, Patroclus," the god whispers, his voice like the wind in the cracks of the stone. "Troy is not for you to take." But Patroclus does not hear. He is lost in the adrenaline. And then the end comes. It does not come with a fair duel. It comes with a trick. Apollo, wrapped in a thick mist, comes up behind Patroclus. He strikes him on the back with the flat of his hand. It is not a hard blow, but it is the blow of a god. Patroclus's eyes spin. His limbs go numb. The helmet of Achilles is knocked from his head. It rolls in the dust, the beautiful horsehair crest soiled with dirt and blood. The Trojans see him now. They see his face. It is not Achilles. It is only Patroclus. Euphorbus strikes him first with a spear, and then Hector approaches. Hector, who has been running, now stops. He sees the wounded man. He sees the armor that belongs to his greatest enemy. He thrusts his spear into Patroclus's belly. Patroclus falls. The noise of the battle seems to fade away for a moment. He lies on the hard earth, looking up at the face of Hector. He gasps for air. "You boast now, Hector," he whispers, his voice bubbling with blood. "But it was not you who killed me. It was the gods. And hear this. You will not live long. Achilles is coming, even now. Death is standing at your shoulder. His soul flies from his limbs and goes down to the house of Hades, lamenting its fate, leaving manhood and youth behind. Hector stands over the body. He puts his foot on the chest and pulls out his spear. He strips the armor, the breastplate, the greaves, the shield. He puts them on his own body. He does not know that he is putting on his own death. The sun begins to set. The battle rages over the naked body of Patroclus. The Greeks fight to retrieve him. The Trojans fight to take him. It is a gruesome tug of war in the twilight. Finally, Menelaus and Ajax, with supreme effort, drag the body out of the crush. They carry him back toward the ships. shielding him with their own bodies. Back at the camp, Achilles is still waiting. He sits by his tent, watching the road. He sees the chariot returning, but it is moving slowly. He sees the group of men walking with heads bowed. He stands up. A cold dread settles in his stomach, heavier than any armor. Antilochus, the son of Nestor, comes running. He is weeping. The tears carve tracks through the dust on his face. He kneels before Achilles. He takes the hero's hands. Achilles. He chokes out. Patroclus is fallen. They are fighting over his body, and Hector has the armor. The world stops. The sound of the sea stops. The beating of Achilles' heart stops. A black cloud of grief wraps around him. He does not scream at first. He collapses. He falls to the ground as if his bones have turned to water. He grabs handfuls of black ash from the fire pit and pours them over his head, staining his fair face, ruining his tunic. He lies in the dirt, a fallen giant, his body heaving with dry, silent sobs that eventually tear out of his throat in a terrible, long howl. It is a sound that frightens the horses. It is a sound that reaches down into the depths of the sea. His mother, Thetis, hears him. She rises from the waves like a mist, followed by her sisters, the Nereids. They come to the beach. They sit around him on the sand, stroking his hair, weeping with him. It is a tableau of pure sorrow, the sea mourning the earth. "My child," Thetis says, her voice like cool water, "why do you weep? The Greeks are saved. You have your honor back." Achilles looks at her. His eyes are red, rimmed with the dust of grief. "What good is honor?" he whispers. "What good is life? Patroclus is dead. I let him go. I sat here and let him die. I am a burden on the earth. I am useless." He sits up, his face hardening into a mask of terrifying resolve. "I will not live. I have no desire to eat or drink or see the sun, unless I can kill Hector, unless I can make him pay." Thetis warns him, clutching his hand. "My son, do not rush. The prophecy is clear. If Hector dies, your death follows swiftly after. You will not outlive him by long." Achilles looks at the horizon, where the first stars are appearing. "Let it come," he says. "Let death come whenever it wants. I do not care. I only want Hector." But he has no armor. His body is vulnerable. And so, Thetis makes a promise. "Wait," she says. "Do not go into battle yet. Wait for the dawn. I will bring you armor such as no man has ever seen. I will go to Olympus. I will go to the smith." She kisses his forehead and dissolves into the night air, heading upward toward the peaks. Achilles remains on the beach. He stands up. He walks to the edge of the trench. The Trojans are still fighting near the ships. He cannot fight yet, but he can be seen. Athena hangs her tasseled aegis from his shoulders and sets a golden cloud around his head that blazes with light. Achilles opens his mouth and shouts, a single, high, clear war cry. It sounds like a trumpet blowing from heaven. The Trojans hear it. They look up and see him, blazing with divine fire in the twilight. Terror seizes them. The horses rear and turn the chariots around. The soldiers stumble back. Just the sound of his voice is enough to turn the tide. The Greeks retrieve the body of Patroclus. They bring him into the tent. Achilles kneels beside him. He touches the cold face. He touches the wounds. He weeps again, hot tears falling onto the dead chest of his friend. The night settles over the camp, thick and heavy, but there is no sleep for Achilles. There is only the fire in his chest, and the long, dark wait for the dawn. While Achilles weeps on the beach, his mother Thetis is soaring through the night sky, rising higher and higher until the earth is just a dark ball below her. She is going to Olympus, to the house of Hephaestus, the divine smith. We follow her now, leaving the smell of blood and salt for the smell of fire and metal. The workshop of Hephaestus is a place of wonder. It is not like a mortal smithy. It is a cavern of stars and bronze. There are 20 bellows blowing at the crucibles, and they move of their own accord, obedient to the god's thought. They blow blasts of hot air when the work is heavy, and gentle puffs when the work is delicate. The walls are lined with automatons, statues of gold that can move and speak, assistants to the lame god. Hephaestus himself is there, sweating over his anvil. He is huge, with massive shoulders and shriveled legs. He wipes his face with a sponge when Thetis enters. He welcomes her warmly, for she is the one who caught him when his mother Hera threw him from Olympus long ago. She saved him, and he has never forgotten. Thetis of the long robes, he says, his voice rumbling like the earth. What brings you to my forge? Thetis weeps as she tells him. She tells him of her son, who is doomed to die young. She tells him of the lost armor. She begs for a boon. Make him a shield. She asks, make him a helmet and a breastplate. Give him something that will protect him, if only for a little while. Give him something that will make the world marvel. Hephaestus nods. Take heart, he says. I will make him such armor that men will wonder at it for 1,000 generations. Now, settle your mind. Close out the distractions of your room. Watch the making of the shield of Achilles. This is not just a weapon. It is a hypnotic mandala of the universe. It is art created to defend against death. Hephaestus throws bronze, indestructible tin, precious gold, and silver into the fire. The metals melt and swirl together. He takes his great hammer and his tongs. Clang, clang, clan. Asterisk. The rhythm is slow and steady, the heartbeat of creation. First, in the center of the shield, he fashions the earth, the sky, and the sea. He sets the unwearying sun and the full moon, and all the constellations that crown the heavens, the Pleiades, the Hyades, the strength of Orion, and the bear that watches him. Imagine the stars turning in silver on the dark bronze background. Then, around the stars, he creates 2 cities of mortal men. In the first city, there are weddings and feasts. Brides are led from their chambers through the streets by the light of blazing torches. The marriage song rings out, a happy, high melody. Young men whirl in the dance to the sound of flutes and lyres. Women stand in their doorways, marveling at the joy. It is a scene of pure life, frozen in gold. Nearby, in the marketplace, men are arguing peacefully over a blood price, while elders sit on polished stones to judge. It is a city of law and community. In the second city, there is war. Two armies glitter in their armor. But Hephaestus does not just carve the soldiers, he carves the ambush. The cattle, the riverbanks, he carves the figures of strife and tumult, and fate, grasping men by the feet. It is a city of tension and fear. But he moves on. He carves a soft, fallow field, rich tilth and wide. Plowmen drive their teams back and forth, turning the earth. At the end of the furrow, a man hands them a cup of sweet wine. The earth looks black behind the plow, though it is made of gold, a miracle of art. You can almost smell the freshly turned soil. He carves a king's estate, where reapers are cutting the corn with sharp sickles. Children gather the stalks in their arms. He carves a vineyard, heavy with clusters of silver grapes. The poles are made of silver, the fence of tin. There is a single footpath of gold. Young girls and boys run along it, carrying the sweet fruit in woven baskets. In their midst, a boy plays a lyre, singing a song of the passing summer with a delicate voice. You can almost hear the melody, thin and sweet, rising from the metal. He carves a herd of straight-horned cattle, lowing as they head to the pasture by the rippling river. He carves a pasture in a mountain valley, filled with sheep like white clouds. He carves a dancing floor, where youths and maidens dance, holding each other's wrists. Their tunics shine like oil. They spin like a potter's wheel, their feet blurring with speed. And around the rim of the shield, bounding it all, he sets the mighty river Oceanus, the boundary of the world, flowing forever in a circle. The shield is finished. It is a world in itself, a world that Achilles will carry on his arm, a reminder of everything he is about to leave behind: the weddings, the harvest, the peace. Hephaestus lays it at Thetis' feet. It shines like the sun. She swoops down from Olympus like a hawk, bringing the light of the heavens to the dusty beach. When she arrives, it is dawn. Achilles is still holding Patroclus. She lays the armor down before him. It rings loudly. Thrum, asterisk. The Myrmidons tremble at the sound and cover their eyes, for the brilliance is too great. But Achilles looks into the shield, and his eyes burn with a strange, cold fire. He feels the weight of the god's work. He puts it on. He becomes something more than human. He is a force of nature now. He goes to war. We will not dwell on the slaughter that follows. It is enough to say that the river Scamander runs red, and the walls of Troy tremble. Achilles is not fighting for victory. He is fighting to empty his heart of pain. He drives the Trojans back like withered leaves before a gale. Finally, he finds him. Hector, the Prince of Troy, is standing alone outside the Scaean gates. The rest of the Trojan army has fled inside. Hector's old father, Priam, and his mother, Hecuba, scream from the walls, begging him to come inside. Hector, do not stand against him. He is a monster. Come inside. But Hector waits. He feels a terrible resolve. He knows he has led his people to disaster. He feels he must stand. But when Achilles approaches, shining in his god-forged armor, shaking his great spear, Hector's courage wavers. The terror of the divine is too much. He runs. It is not cowardice, it is the realization of the uncanny. He runs around the walls of his city. 3 times they circle the city of Troy. Achilles shaz him, relentless as a nightmare, unable to catch him, but never falling behind. It is a dream chase, silent and terrifying. The gods watch from above. Zeus holds up his golden scales. He places the fate of Hector in one, and the fate of Achilles in the other. Hector's side sinks down toward the underworld. His time has come. Apollo, who has been protecting Hector, sees the scale fall. He abandons him. Hector stops. He stands his ground. He draws his sword. The 2 warriors clash. It is brief. Achilles knows the weak point in the armor Hector is wearing because it is Achilles' own old armor. He drives his spear into the neck. Hector falls in the dust. As he dies, Hector gasps, "I beg you, buy your soul, buy your parents. Give my body to my family. Let them burn me. Do not let the dogs feed on me." Achilles looks down, his face a mask of iron. "Do not speak to me of agreements. You dog, there are no pacts between lions and men. I will let the dogs devour you raw." Hector dies. His soul flies to Hades. Achilles strips the armor, and then, in a moment of madness born of grief, he pierces Hector's ankles. He threads a leather strap through them and ties the body to the back of his chariot. He whips his horses. The chariot jerks forward. The head of Hector, once so beautiful, drags in the dust. He drags him 3 times around the city walls, while Priam and Andromache watch from above, screaming in horror. It is a violation of all laws. It is a desecration. Achilles drags the body back to the Greek camp and throws it face down in the dust beside Patroclus's bier. Here, he whispers to his dead friend, "I have brought him to you." But the story does not end in anger. It ends in quiet. Days pass. Achilles does not wash the blood from his hands. He does not bury Hector. But the gods protect the body. Apollo keeps it fresh and unblemished, wrapping it in a golden shield of air. The gods are displeased. Zeus sends a message to Achilles, "Give him back." Night falls. The camp is silent. The sentries are dozing. Suddenly, the door of Achilles' tent opens. An old man enters. He is cloaked in dark robes. He leans on a staff. He walks past the sleeping guards, guided by Hermes, the wayfinder, who has cast a spell of sleep on the watchman. The old man walks up to Achilles, who is sitting alone, staring at the ground. The old man kneels. He reaches out his withered hands. He takes the hands of Achilles, the terrible, man-killing hands, and he kisses them. It is Priam, the king of Troy. Achilles stares at him in shock. It is as if a ghost has entered the room. Priam looks up, tears streaming into his white beard. "Think of your father, Achilles," he says softly. "He is an old man, like me. He waits for you in Phthia, but at least he knows you are alive. He has hope, but I am the most miserable of men. I have 50 sons, and you have killed the best of them. I have done what no other man on earth has done. I have kissed the hands of the man who killed my children." Achilles looks at the old man, and suddenly, the stone in his chest cracks. He thinks of his own father, Peleus, waiting on the docks in Greece, waiting for a ship that will never come because Achilles is destined to die here. He thinks of Patroclus, who will never come back. The grief rises up in him, not as a storm this time, but as a tide, overwhelming and cleansing. He takes the old man's hand. He gently pushes him back from his knees. And then Achilles weeps. The two men weep together in the tent, the young killer and the old king. The sound of their sorrow fills the space, a harmony of grief. Achilles weeps for his father and for Patroclus. Priam weeps for Hector. They are enemies. But in this moment, they are just men. They are united by the terrible fragility of life. Achilles stands. He lifts Priam up. He offers him a seat. "Sit down, old father," he says. "Let our pain lie quiet in our hearts. We cannot bring them back with tears." He goes out. He orders his serving women to wash Hector's body, to anoint it with oil, to wrap it in fine white linen, so that Priam need not see the wounds and cry out in anger. Achilles lifts the body himself. He places it on the wagon. He whispers to the earth, "Do not be angry with me, Patroclus, that I gave him back. He gave a worthy ransom." He returns to the tent. He breaks bread with Priam. They eat together in the quiet lamplight. They look at each other with wonder. Priam marvels at Achilles. How tall and beautiful he is, like a god. Achilles marvels at Priam. How brave and noble he looks, despite his age. "Sleep now," Achilles says. "You are safe here." He prepares a bed for Priam in the porch, covered with purple blankets. He promises a truce. "How many days do you need to bury him?" he asks. 11 days, Priam says. 9 to mourn, 1 to burn him, 1 to build the mound. On the 12th, we will fight again. "So be it." Achilles says, 12 days of peace. The old man sleeps. Achilles sleeps. For the first time since Patroclus died, his sleep is dreamless. The rage is gone. It has been washed away by the tears of his enemy. Let us linger in this tent for a moment. The lamp is flickering low. The air is warm and still. Outside, the waves lap gently against the shore. Inside, there is a profound reconciliation. The shield of Achilles rests in the corner, reflecting the firelight. The world on the shield, the dancers, the reapers, the stars is at rest. The war is suspended. Feel the quiet of the tent wrapping around you. You are a witness to this peace. The anger you may have carried from your day, the frustrations, the losses, let them go. Let them be washed away like the dust on Hector's body. Let the mercy of Achilles be your mercy. Let the sleep of Priam be your sleep. The universe on the shield turns slowly. The stars wheel overhead. The Great Bear watches Orion. The Oceanus flows around the rim. Everything is held. Everything is contained. The story has paused to let you breathe. Breathe in the scent of the linen and the oil, Breathe in the salt air. The night is deep. The silence is absolute. You are safe. Rest now. The dawn is far away. The truce of 12 days has ended, and the funeral fires of Hector have burned down to cold, gray ash, scattered by the relentless winds blowing off the Hellespont. The morning is over, and the war, like a great beast waking from a fitful nap, begins to stir again. But it is a different kind of war now. The fire has gone out of it. The roar has turned into a sigh. Achilles is dead, struck by an arrow guided by Apollo, falling near the Scaean gates just as the ancient prophecies foretold. His armor, the divine work of Hephaestus, gleaming with the light of the stars, has been passed to Odysseus. Ajax, the tower of strength, the man who stood like a wall against the tide, has departed this life by his own hand. Unable to bear the heavy cloak of his shame, the greatest voices are silenced. The field of battle, once a place of shining glory and thunderous chariots, is now just a dusty plain, scarred by 10 years of wheels and feet, overgrown with weeds that feed on iron and blood. It is time for the end. But the end does not come with a roar. It comes with a whisper. It comes with a plan born in the mind of Odysseus, the man of twists and turns, the man who watches the sea and learns its patience. He realizes that Troy cannot be taken by force. The walls are too high. The stone is too thick. The will of the city is too strong. If Troy is to fall, it must open its own gates. It must invite its own end inside. And so, the axes ring out in the deep. Ancient forests of Mount Ida, listen to the sound echoing through the valleys. Thwack, echo, thwack, echo. It is a lonely, rhythmic sound in the mountains, disturbing the birds from their roosts. The Greeks are felling pine trees, tall and straight, trees that have stood for centuries, smelling of sticky golden resin and sharp green needles. They drag the timber down to the beach, the heavy logs leaving deep furrows in the sand. They summon Epeus, the master carpenter, a man whose hands can fashion miracles out of wood, a man who dreams in grain and not. Under the instructions of Odysseus, they begin to build. They do not build a siege tower to scale the walls. They do not build a battering ram to shatter the gates. They build a horse, a massive, colossal horse, standing taller than the city gates, its head brushing the low-hanging clouds. Watch the construction in your mind's eye. Moment by moment, it is a slow, hypnotic process. First, the framework, the ribs of the beast, curving up toward the sky like the hull of a ship turned upside down. The carpenters work in silence, their saws singing a soft, raspy song. Then, the planks, smoothed and sanded with sharkskin until they are soft to the touch, fitted together with such precision that not even the thinnest knife blade could slide between them. The wood is pale and fresh, glowing with a soft luminescence in the sunlight. They carve the head with open eyes and flared nostrils, giving it a look of eternal vigilance, as if it is watching the horizon for a master who will never come. They weave a mane from horsehair and thick, braided rope, dyeing it black to contrast with the pale wood. They polish the hooves until they shine like polished bone. It is a masterpiece of deception. It looks like an offering to the gods. It looks like a prayer for a safe journey home. It stands on the beach, a silent sentinel, casting a long, strange shadow across the sand as the sun begins to dip. But inside, it is hollow. It is a cavern of secrets. The sun sets on the final day of the war. The horse stands alone on the beach. The Greek camp is busy, but not with the business of war. They are packing. They are striking the tents that have been their homes for 10 years. They are rolling up the canvas, extinguishing the fires, loading the heavy chests onto the black ships. Is it a trick, or are they truly leaving the Trojans watch from the walls, holding their breath, daring to hope, under the cover of a moonless darkness? The bravest of the Greeks gather by the horse. Odysseus is there, checking his sword. Menelaus is there, thinking of Helen. Neoptolemus, the son of Achilles, is there, eager to prove his bloodline. They climb a rope ladder, one by one, silent as spiders, disappearing into the belly of the wooden beast. Imagine the inside of the horse. It is pitch dark. It smells intensely of pine sap, raw wood, and the nervous sweat of brave men. It is cramped. The men sit shoulder to shoulder, knees drawn up to their chests, in a space not meant for the living. They must remain perfectly still. They cannot speak. They cannot cough. They can barely breathe. They are buried alive in a coffin, shaped like a victory. They listen to the sound of their own hearts, beating like drums in the confined space. Thump, 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 thump. Outside, the rest of the Greek army boards their ships. The oars dip silently into the water. They do not sail for home. They sail only as far as the island of Tenedos, just out of sight, hiding behind the curve of the land. They douse their torches. They wade in the black water, rocking gently on the swells, watching the distant shore. The beach is empty. For the first time in 10 years, the shore of Troy is silent. The fires are gone. The ships are gone. There is only the wind, the sea, and the horse. The waves wash away the footprints of the army, smoothing the sand, erasing the history of the invasion. Dawn breaks. A pale, gray light spreads over the Aegean. The sentries on the walls of Troy look out. They rub their eyes. They blink. They cannot believe what they see. The enemy is gone. The plague of locusts has lifted. The coastline is bare. Save for one towering shape, the gates of Troy creak open. For 10 years, they have been shut against the world. Now, they groan on their hinges, rust flaking away, protesting the movement. The people of Troy pour out. They walk tentatively at first, expecting an ambush, holding their shields high. But there is no one. There is only the silence of the morning and the cry of the gulls. They walk through the abandoned camp. They see the refuse of a decade of war, broken spears, old pottery, the circles of ash where the fires burned. They feel a strange, giddy lightness. The weight of the siege has lifted. They are free. They run to the surf and wash the dust of the city from their skin. They breathe the salt air, filling their lungs with the taste of freedom. And then they gather around the horse. It towers over them, silent, and enigmatic. A wooden mountain. They touch the wood. It is warm from the sun. They walk around it, marveling at its size. They debate. What is it? A trophy left behind in haste. A trap. Cassandra. The princess cursed to see the future, but never be believed. Screams that it is filled with death. Her voice is shrill, terrifying. Burn it, she cries, tearing at her hair. Cut it open. Do not bring this monster into our home. Lao Kuen, the priest of Poseidon, hurls his spear at the horse's flank. It strikes with a hollow boom that echoes like a drum, a sound that should have warned them. The men inside hold their breath, their hearts hammering against their ribs like trapped birds, sure that they are discovered. But the gods intervene. From the sea, two massive serpents rise, their scales glistening with green and gold slime. They slither up the beach and devour Laocoon and his sons. The Trojans scream and recoil. They take this as a sign from the gods. The horse is sacred. Laocoon was punished for striking it. It is an offering to Athena. If they bring it inside, the luck of the Greeks will become the luck of Troy. They bring heavy ropes. They bring wooden wheels. They drag the massive weight across the sand. It is heavy, stubborn. It groans as it moves, resisting the pull. They have to tear down part of their own lintel, breaking the stone archway of the Scaean gates to fit the belly of the beast. Dust rises as the stones fall, with sweat and song, with heave and pull. They drag the instrument of their destruction into the heart of their citadel. The horse rolls over the cobblestones, rocking slightly, its wooden eyes staring blankly ahead. Night falls, but this is not a night of sleep. It is a night of wild, desperate celebration. The war is over. The Greeks have fled. The wine jars are opened. The seals broken. The music plays. Flutes and lyres competing with the laughter. The streets of Troy are filled with dancing. Torches flare on every corner, casting long, dancing shadows against the walls. The relief is a kind of madness. They drink to forget the 10 years of fear. They dance to forget the dead. They toast to the future, not knowing there is no future left. But eventually, the wine does its work. The dancing slows. The music fades into discordant notes. The torches burn down to embers, sputtering out one by one, one by one. The Trojans stumble to their beds. The exhaustion of a decade crashes down on them. The guards at the gates lean on their spears, their heads nodding, and their eyes close. The dogs curl up in the alleys. The city breathes a collective sigh and sinks into a deep, stuporous sleep. Silence descends on the city, a silence deeper than any before. It is the silence of vulnerability. The city is asleep. The walls are unguarded. The moon rides high in the sky, casting a pale, silver light on the wooden horse standing in the square. It looks like a ghost in the moonlight. Inside the belly, Odysseus feels the silence. He waits until the last shout has faded. He nudges the man next to him. Slowly, agonizingly slowly, they unlock the trapdoor. It opens with the faintest creak, loud as a thunderclap in the quiet. A rope is lowered, one by one. The shadows drop to the ground. They land on the balls of their feet. Silent as cats, they are stiff from hours of cramping. They stretch their limbs in the dark, grimacing. They draw their swords, but the metal is wrapped in cloth to prevent a sound. They move like smoke through the streets. They kill the sleeping sentries before they can cry out. It is not a battle, it is a silencing. They open the great gates of the city, and from the darkness of the sea, seeing the signal fire lit by a spy on the walls, the Greek fleet returns. The ships glide onto the sand. The army pours out, silent as a rising tide. They flow into the city. What follows is the fall, but let us view it from a distance. Through the haze of history, we do not need to see the blood. We see the flames. The first torch is thrown, then another. The fire catches the dry timber of the roofs. It leaps from house to house, hungry and bright. The sky turns a bruised purple, then a violent orange. The city becomes a furnace. The fall of Troy is a tragedy, but it is also a release. The tension that has held the world together for 10 years finally snaps. The towers crumble, sliding into the streets in avalanches of stone. The statues of the gods fall from their pedestals and shatter. King Priam dies at the altar of Zeus, his white hair stained red. The women are gathered, weeping. The men are slain. The city that was the envy of the world becomes a memory of ash. But amidst the destruction, there is a strange quietude. It is the quietude of destiny fulfilled. The story had to end this way. The prophecy had to be true. As the flames roar, they consume not just the wood and the stone, but the anger and the pride. The fire cleanses the plain. It burns away the grudge. Helen stands at her window. The light of the burning city illuminates her face. She does not flee. She waits. Menelaus finds her. He raises his sword to kill her, to end the cause of all this suffering. But he looks at her. He sees the woman he loved. He sees the sorrow in her eyes. The sword lowers. He takes her hand. They walk out of the burning city together, ghosts of who they once were, walking through the sparks that drift like snow. Aeneas, the Trojan prince, wakes from sleep. He sees the city is lost. He does not fight for a ruin. He fights for the future. He takes his old father, Anchises, onto his back, carrying the weight of his history. He takes his young son, Ascanius, by the hand, leading the future. He carries the household gods, the Penates. In his satchel, he flees the fire. He runs toward the mountain, toward the sea, toward a new destiny. He carries the seed of Rome in his pocket. He is the survivor. He is the hope that endures when the walls fall down. The night wears on. The fire burns itself out. The screams fade. The Greeks gather their spoils. They gather the women Hecuba, Andromache, Cassandra. The queens have become slaves. It is the turning of the wheel. High becomes low. Low becomes high. Everything changes. Dawn approaches, but the sun is hidden behind a veil of smoke. The plain of Troy is covered in a gray shroud. The city is gone. There are only jagged walls standing like broken teeth against the sky. The silence that returns is absolute. It is the silence of the desert, the silence of the tomb. The Greeks return to their ships. They are victorious, but they are not happy. They are heavy with the weight of what they have done. They are tired. so very tired. They look at the sea, and they think of home. 10 years to get here. How long to get back? The wooden horse stands amidst the ruins, scorched but unburned. It stands as a monument to the trick. Its painted eyes stare out over the devastation. Unblinking, unfeeling, it is the only thing that remains unchanged. Let us drift away from the smoke. Let us rise above the ruins, floating higher and higher until the fires are just pinpricks of light below. The tragedy is complete. The cycle is closed. The anger of Achilles, the pride of Agamemnon, the love of Paris, the duty of Hector, it has all burned down to this ash and silence. Feel the weight of that silence. It is a heavy blanket, covering the past. It signifies that the struggle is over. You do not need to fight anymore. You do not need to defend the walls. The walls are down. You can let go. The destruction of the city is also the deconstruction of the self before sleep. We tear down the walls of our day. We let the fires of our anxiety burn themselves out until there is nothing left but the quiet ash. We surrender. We accept. We turn our backs on the ruin and look toward the sea. The sea is waiting. The ships are ready. The journey home is about to begin. But for now, just for this moment, rest in the aftermath. Rest in the knowledge that the worst has happened, and the world is still turning. The sun still rises. Even behind the smoke, the waves still break on the shore. You are a witness to the end of an age, and in witnessing it, you are free of it. You can leave Troy now. You can leave the war. You can drift away, lighter than the smoke, drifting toward the cool, clean air of the open ocean, drifting toward the dream of home. The smoke of Troy has faded into the distance, becoming a thin gray line on the horizon. And then, nothing. We are out on the open sea now. The water is deep and dark, rising and falling with a slow, rhythmic heave. It is the breathing of the world. We have left the land of battles behind. We have left the noise of bronze and the cry of men. We are entering the realm of the drift. The only sound is the wind in the rigging and the water rushing past the hull. The Greek ships are scattered like leaves in a storm. The unity of the army is broken. Now, each man seeks his own home. This is the Nostoi that returns. It is a time of wandering, a time of being lost so that one can be found again. The map of the world has changed for them. It is no longer a map of war, but a map of memory. Think of Menelaus and Helen. Their ship is blown off course, far to the south, to the ancient, mysterious lands of Egypt. They wander among the pyramids that were old even then. They walk through the tall river reeds of the Nile, watching the ibis birds take flight against a white sky. It is a strange, dreamlike detour. They must relearn each other after 10 years of war. Who are they? They are strangers sharing a ship. They sit on the deck under the bright, unfamiliar African stars, listening to the lap of the water against the wood. They do not speak of Troy. They speak of the olives in Sparta. They speak of the wind and the cypress trees. They let the silence stitch their lives back together, slowly, thread by thread. It takes them years, but they eventually find the winds to take them back to Sparta, back to the red stone palace, back to the quiet, They return not as young lovers, but as quiet survivors, grateful for the peace of the familiar. Think of Agamemnon, the High King. He sails home with the wind at his back. He sees the watchtowers of Mycenae rising from the rocky hills. He thinks he is returning to glory. He thinks the red carpet rolled out for him is a sign of honor. But he returns to a trap. His wife, Clytemnestra, has not forgotten the daughter he sacrificed at Aulis. She waits with a net woven of hate and an axe sharpened by grief. His story ends in tragedy. But it is a distant tragedy now. The screams are swallowed by the wind. We sail past it. We do not stop. We leave the house of Atreus to its fate. We follow the ship of Odysseus, the black-hulled vessel with the single eye painted on the prow, watching the waves. He is the man who just wants to go home. He wants to see the smoke rising from his own hearth. He wants to stand on the rocky soil of Ithaca, but the sea has other plans. Poseidon, the earthshaker, is angry. He sends storms that tear the sky apart. He sends winds that blow the ship off the map, into the realm of monsters and magic. But tonight, we do not fight the monsters. We float with Odysseus in the spaces between the adventures. We float with him on the calm days when the sea is like a sheet of blue glass. We float with him on the island of Calypso, Ogygia, the island of stasis, the island where time stands still. Imagine that island. It is the center of the ocean, far from any trade route. It smells of cedar smoke burning in the hearth and sweet citrus ripening on the trees. There is a cave lined with soft vines. There are meadows of violet and parsley, green and lush. Calypso, the nymph with the braided hair, sings with a golden voice as she weaves at her loom. Click-clack, click-clack. The sound is hypnotic. She offers Odysseus immortality. She offers him eternal youth. She offers him a life without pain, without aging, without death. He stays there for 7 years. 7 years of sleep. 7 years of watching the sun rise and set over an empty horizon. He sits on the shore, looking west, weeping for Ithaca. But it is a quiet weeping. It is the longing of the soul for its true home. In this story, Ithaca is not just an island. It is the self. It is the place where you are fully known. It is the place where you belong. We are all Odysseus, sitting on the shore, looking for the way back to ourselves. Feel the sand beneath him. Feel the salt spray on his face. Feel the deep, aching desire for rest. And what of Aeneas, the Trojan refugee? We see his ship sailing west, away from the sunrise, away from the ruin. He carries his father on his shoulders, the weight of the past. He holds his son's hand, the hope of the future. He is destined to found a new Troy, a Rome that will rule the world. But he does not know that yet. He only knows the sea. He only knows that he must keep moving. He is the resilience of the human spirit. He is the proof that even when your world burns down, you can build another one. He sails past volcanoes, past islands of sirens, guided by the evening star, Venus, his mother. The sea is vast. It holds all these stories. It holds the grief of Hecuba, who turned into a howling dog on the cliffs of Thrace. It holds the wisdom of Nestor, safe in his sandy Pylos. It holds the body of Ajax, buried in the sand. It washes them all clean. The salt water is the great purifier. It erodes the sharp edges of stone and memory alike, turning everything into smooth, round pebbles. Now, let us complete the circle. Let us steer our ship away from the mortal world entirely. Let us drift toward the edge of the map, where the ocean stream pours into the dark. We are returning to where we began, to the house of Hades. We descend again, but we are not the same travelers we were at the start. We have seen the war. We have seen the fire. We understand now why the peace of the underworld is so precious. We understand why the souls yearn for the Lethe. We glide across the Acheron once more. The ferryman Charon nods to us. He knows us now. He leans on his pole, his boat cutting silently through the black water. We pass the dog Cerberus, who sleeps with his heads on his paws, dreaming of chasing shadows. We walk through the asphodel meadows, and look, there they are, the heroes we watched on the plains of Troy. They are here now. See Achilles. He is no longer raging. He is no longer covered in blood and dust. He is a shade, pale and calm. He walks through the white flowers with Patroclus. They are side by side, as they were meant to be. There is no armor on them. There is no bronze to weigh them down. They are light. They are free. They speak in soft voices, remembering the glory, but forgetting the pain. The anger has been washed away by the waters of the Lethe. They are young forever in the gray light. See Hector. He is there too. He walks with his brothers. He holds his son, Astyanax, who is playing with the petals of the asphodel. There is no enmity here. Achilles and Hector pass each other in the meadow, and they do not draw swords. They nod. They acknowledge the shared burden of their fate. They are brothers in death, bound by the memory of the war that defined them. The hatred of the war was a mortal thing, and it has died with their bodies. See Helen, or her shade. She is beautiful still, but it is a beauty that does not burn. It is the beauty of the moon, cool and distant. She sits by a silver stream, weaving a tapestry of mist. She is weaving the story of the war, but as she finishes each row, it dissolves into the air. She is letting it go. She is untying the knots of guilt and blame. She looks up and smiles, a smile of infinite relief. See Agamemnon. See Ajax. See Priam. They are all here. The kings and the slaves, the victors and the vanquished. In the democracy of the dark, they are all equal. The distinctions of the world above wealth, power, beauty mean nothing here. The only thing that remains is the soul. The silence of the meadows absorbs their stories, turning them into the peace of the ages. The underworld is quiet. The rivers flow with their eternal rhythm. Sigh, coil, warm, weep, forget. The cycle continues. And in this silence, we find the ultimate resolution. The war was just a moment, a flash of lightning in a long night. The peace is the reality. The peace is the truth. We walk back toward the palace of Hades. The king and queen are still there, seated on their thrones. Hades watches the reunion of the souls with his calm, dark eyes. Persephone smiles, a touch of spring in the winter dark. They are the guardians of this rest. They ensure that the noise of the world never disturbs the sleepers. They are the constants in a universe of change. You are standing in the center of the meadow. The white flowers brush against your knees. The air is cool and sweet. You look up, far above, through the layers of the earth. You can sense the world of the living. You can sense your own body, lying in your bed. You can feel the weight of the blankets. You can feel the pillow beneath your head. You are safe. You are warm. You have been on a long journey. You have traveled through myth and memory. You have seen the heights of Olympus and the depths of Tartarus. You have seen the fire of Troy and the water of the Aegean. You have heard the songs of the sirens and the silence of the dead. But now, the journey is done. The circle is closed. It is time to leave the story behind. It is time to let the characters fade. Achilles, Hector, Helen, Odysseus, let them turn into mist. Let them drift away into the shadows. They are safe. They are resting. And so can you. Your mind is a quiet meadow. Your thoughts are white flowers swaying in a gentle breeze. There is no wind to disturb you. There is no fire to burn you. There is only the dark, velvety peace of the night. Feel the darkness wrapping around you like a soft cloak. It is protecting you. It is holding you. The earth is turning slowly, rocking you to sleep. The stars are watching over you. The gods have put down their instruments. The fates have cut the thread of the day. Drift deeper, deeper into the comfort, deeper into the silence. You are weightless. You are formless. You are pure consciousness, floating on the river of sleep. The current is gentle. It carries you away from the shore of waking, toward the island of dreams. Trust the river. Trust the dark. You have nothing to do. You have nowhere to go. You have no one to be. You are simply here, safe, warm, resting. The story is over. The silence has begun. Good night.